Daisetsuzan Mountains. The peaks rise like molten stones frozen in time. Columns of volcanic steam curve into the pale morning sky. Below, the Kushiro wetlands breathe mist. The reeds tremble when the sun shines through them, silvering every drop. Further north, the drifting ice seas of Shiratoko gleam cold and endless. This is Hokkaido, Japan's wild frontier, an island of extremes. Subarctic winters predominate here. The snow falls thickly, relentlessly, sculpting the mountains, the forests, the rivers. Summers come briefly, rain falls in torrents fed by the monsoons, carving out valleys and filling rivers. Geothermal heat seeps from the earth. Steaming vents and hot springs offer refuge to creatures that would otherwise be endangered by the frost. Every corner of this land, mountain, swamp, river and sea, it is molded at the ends. Here in the foothills of the Shiratoko Peninsula and the forests of Daisetsuzan lives one of the island's largest survivors, the Azo brown bear, Ursus arctos yesoensis. It is the largest land mammal in Japan, descended from the enormous Siberian brown bears. An adult male can weigh almost 400 kilograms. It is now early spring. The snow still clings to the shady slopes compacted beneath birch and alder trees. Rivers, long blocked by ice, begin to moan and move, breaking into glittering fragments. In a hollow beneath tangled roots, a mother bear awakens. He's been sleeping for 5 months. His slow pulse. His body lives off the thick fat he built up before winter came. Now the heat seeps through the ground. His breathing quickens. 2 puppies rest against her belly, small, black, no heavier than a newborn kitten when it came into the world in the middle of winter. They blink in the light for the first time, blinded by the brightness, clumsy on their new paws. The mother stands, an imposing silhouette against the snow. Hunger drives her now. She hasn't eaten since the last leaves fell. With her cubs following her, she makes her way through the drifts of snow, digging her claws in. At the foot of the slope, the forest awakens. Crows caw from the treetops. Foxes watch from a distance, wary. The bear's nose twitches. 1,000 aromas flood your senses. The musk of the deer, the sweet scent of thawing earth, the promise of food. He plows through the snow to discover sprouts of skunk cabbage, one of the first green fruits of spring. He digs for roots, scrapes the bark, and when he finds the carcass of a sika deer killed in winter, he munches it while the cubs lick the remains. Every day the valley softens. The snow turns to slush, the streams fill with meltwater, and the forest teems with insects. The pups learn by watching. When she digs, they dig. When she stops to sniff, they freeze beside her, mimicking her every instinct. In early summer, the rivers run fast and clear. The cubs are now larger, strong enough to climb trees when danger approaches, and agile enough to chase beetles through the ferns. Their mother guides them to the valley floor, to the places where the river bends and eddies. Here, beneath cliffs carved by centuries of ice, the season of plenty begins. Silver flashes beneath the surface, salmon. Returning from the Pacific, they have traveled thousands of miles, guided by their sense of smell, memory, and the currents that flow through the ocean. One by one, they leap as they struggle to navigate the river to lay their eggs. They do this every year. The bear waits. She stands knee-deep in the current, her ears pressed forward, her gaze fixed on the water. A salmon leaps. Her leg extends. The fish thrashes against her talons, writhing, but she's faster. She lifts it, dripping, while her young plunge forward, squealing. They clumsily bite the tail, pulling at the flesh. The river is filled with movement, with sound. The tails blow, the splashing of claws, the grunts of triumph. For weeks, the hunt continues. Each bear claims a stretch of the river. Dominant males occupy prime spots near the falls. Mothers with cubs, like this one, stay downstream, away from danger. The mother attacks only at the opportune moment. Each catch feeds not only her body, but also the growth of her pups. Fat accumulates under the skin, storing the energy they'll need to survive the coming cold. In late summer, the salmon begin to slim down. The pups, now almost as tall as their mother's shoulder, have gained confidence. They struggle in shallow water. The mother watches, indulgent but alert. Every sound in the forest matters, the cry of a crow, a shifting wind, the distant crack of a branch that might indicate the presence of another bear. She drives them away when the scent warns of the presence of males, as these can kill cubs that aren't theirs. Survival requires awareness. As August turns to September, the forests burn in shades of gold and crimson. Birch leaves fall in gentle showers, and the air becomes harsher with the arrival of frost. The bears climb higher to the slopes covered with oak and hazel trees. Here, acorns and walnuts carpet the ground, rich in oil. The mother gorges herself, eating almost 10 kilos of food a day. Her pups still imitate her, filling their bellies with whatever they find: berries, roots, insects, even the occasional frog caught by chance. At a feeding ground, they encounter a family of sika deer. The deer freeze, then bound off, their white tails flashing through the trees. The bear doesn't chase them. She no longer needs to hunt. Her priority is preparation. Life is precious and time is short. The nights are getting longer. The first snowfalls fall in the high valleys. At the end of October, the rivers are silent again, frozen by ice. The cubs' fur has thickened, darkened, and become heavy. They follow their mother along a narrow ridge, their paws digging into the snow. She leads them to the same hollow where they were born. She digs deeper, reshaping it, testing the air before settling. The first winds of winter roar over the mountain ranges of northern Hokkaido. Snow sweeps across the ridges, filling every gap, sealing the forest in silence. Inside the den, the family huddles together, their breathing calms, their hearts still. For the next 5 months, they won't wake up. Outside, the forest sleeps too. The salmon that once filled the streams lie buried beneath the ice. The cranes that danced in the marshes have flown south. When the sun returns and the rivers part again, she will emerge, and the now yearling pups will follow. When next summer comes, the pups will be almost fully developed juveniles. Salmon will also return. The days go by, then weeks, then months. Finally, winter disappears from the mountains of Hokkaido. The ice cracks on the rivers, releasing the first trickles of meltwater that will soon flood the valleys. Downriver, beyond the cliffs and forests, beyond the Shiratoko headlands, the ocean is churning. Here, beneath the grey waves of the Sea of Okhotsk, life is already in motion. The bears have returned to their dens, their cubs are sleeping under the snow. But far below, another journey begins. In the cold green depths, a huge school of fish gathers. Each one glistens like liquid silver, tens of thousands moving as one. The chum salmon, Oncorhynchus cater. Their slender, strong bodies are built for the distance. They've spent years in the ocean, 3, sometimes 4. Feeding on krill, squid, and herring, develop muscle and fat reserves. Now, the call comes. A slight change in the current, the scent of home. They turn to her, towards the eastern coast of Hokkaido, towards the rivers where they were born. The currents shift, and the salmon swim north along the peninsula, passing kelp forests and rocky cliffs. Orcas patrol the deeper channels, slicing through the water in swift, precise arcs, but the salmon remain in the shallows. Above them, schools of seabirds, guillemots and kittiwakes dive at the flashes below. Losses are inevitable on this journey. Still, the salmon keeps going. Their numbers are astonishing. Nearly 1 million individuals return to these waters each year, guided by the memories they retained as fry. They reach the coast where the rivers flow into the sea, opening their mouths to welcome them. The change is abrupt. Salt gives way to sweet. Fish must adapt, and they do. Their bodies transform. Their gills begin to adapt to the low salinity. Their skin thickens, their scales dull, and their silver color transforms into the mottled bronze and green of spawning. Males develop hooked jaws, kipes, and ridged backs. Females are round and have maturing eggs. At the mouth of the Shiratoko River, they hesitate. The waves crash against the rocks. The force of the current is fierce and unknown. Then, as if on cue, they move forward. The battle begins. They charge into the torrent, beating their tails at a relentless pace. Every meter gained is an effort. The first obstacles are simple: gravel banks and shallow stretches where the water barely covers their fins. Then come the rapids. Each wave lifts them up only to throw them back again. Of every 100 who try, perhaps half succeed. The rest fall prey to exhaustion and waiting mouths. A fox watches from the shore. Its reddish fur contrasts with the grey stones, its gaze fixed on the shining silhouettes in the water. A salmon, disoriented and stranded in shallow water, thrashes helplessly. The fox lunges, grabs the bear by the gills and drags it into the reeds. The first of many scavengers to take advantage of the journey. Further upstream, the rivers narrow, cutting through forest gorges. Here, the scent of wet earth mingles with the bear's musk. The same mother who once hunted these fish in the summer has returned. Her pups, strengthened by the season's bounty, follow close behind. The water foams white at her feet as she waits motionless in a bend in the river. A salmon leaps, a flash of silver, a pulse, and she strikes. The fish is caught in mid-air, crushed between her jaws. The pups rush to feed, and within moments the carcass is clean. For the bears, this is the last feast before the long sleep, but still the salmon keeps coming. Miles, tens of thousands. They overcome danger, driven by the same instinct. Some fall to the martens gliding through the shallow waters, others to the eagles soaring overhead. Death pursues them around every bend, but the current of life carries them on. After days, perhaps weeks, only a fraction remains. Among them, a lone female approaches the place where her journey began. A shallow gravel bed high above the river, where sunlight filters through the alder branches and the water runs crystal clear. Her body bears the marks of the journey, ragged scales, torn fins, cloudy eyes. He has traveled more than 500 kilometers, climbing waterfalls, and he escaped from countless jaws. Now there's only one act left. With a flick of its tail, it begins to dig. The movement is rhythmic, incessant. A shallow hollow in the gravel known as a red. The males huddle nearby, their colors bright and vibrant. They jostle for position, their bodies colliding, their mouths open. One prevails. He spins nearby, trembling beside her. Together, they release thousands of eggs, translucent like pearls scattered in the water. The male's milt muddies the current. In a matter of seconds, it's over. The female covers the eggs with gravel, protecting them from light and predators. Then he lets himself go and his strength runs out. For hours it floats there, swaying with the current. Finally, as the light fades, it falls still. Around it, others lie the same. Chum salmon are semelparous, meaning they die after spawning. They don't return to the ocean. His life ends in the rivers where it began. Once this happens, the forest begins to feed itself. The crows descend first. The foxes return and tear apart the remains. Martins and minks rummage along the banks. Eagles glide from the cliffs, wings spread and talons reaching for the fish. In the water, insects feed on the softening flesh and the larvae burrow into the sediment. In the following weeks, rains wash nutrients downstream into the soil. Riverside trees such as birches, alders and willows absorb the nitrogen previously trapped in their living fibers. In their leaves, the ocean lingers, and just like that, winter returns. Ice seals the rivers again. Below, the nests lie silent, their eggs resting in the cool, oxygenated water. Time passes slowly. The mothers are gone, their bones buried beneath the snow, but their young wait, tiny embryos, eyes forming, hearts beginning to beat. In midwinter, the first fry are released. Barely 2 centimeters long, they float among the stones, feeding on what's left of their yolk sac. The water above them is black with ice. The air temperature is well below freezing, but on the gravel it's constant. 2 degrees, never colder. The young remain hidden for weeks, that is, until the spring thaw brings warmth and light again. Then, one night, the ice breaks. The river flows freely. At the first flood, the fry emerge from the gravel and move downstream, hundreds at a time. Tiny silver sparks against the darkness. Most will never reach the sea, but those that do will grow stronger and in 3 or 4 years will feel the same pull. His journey, like the bear's, has no real end. Another year passes. Winters have returned. The river lies frozen. The last salmon carcasses are buried under the ice. Its energy is dispersed in roots, wings, and fur. The forest that once echoed with running water has fallen silent. Winter returns to rule Hokkaido. Across the Shiretoko Peninsula and the plains beyond, the earth lies white and still, trapped under meters of snow. Only the wind moves, and yet even here, life endures. A shadow breaks the void, little, deliberate, graceful. Hokkaido red fox, vulpes shrenki, moves away from the tree line, its fur bristling from the cold. It is smaller than its mainland relatives, slimmer, and its fur is a deeper reddish hue with grey undertones. A tuft of tail as thick as a winter scarf trails behind it. His breath curls in the air. Each step is measured, light. Under the snow, something invisible moves. She stops. The ears move forward, triangulating the sound. The snow muffles all tremors except for a slight one, like a field mouse moving through the tunnels beneath the bark. The fox tilts its head, listening. Silence. Then a crunch. Its muscles tense. It jumps and lands on its nose, ploughing through the snow in a white shower. She surfaces a moment later with the vole caught in her jaws. She eats quickly. The mouse disappears in a few bites. Then it moves on, trotting lightly across the icy plain. Its paws are wide and furry, made for this. The temperature can drop to -20 degrees, but the fox keeps hunting. For most of the year, she hunts alone. The night is her ally, the snow her canvas. Each leap leaves a mark until the next wind erases it. Some nights, she travels 10 kilometers or more, her path winding between forest and open field. Crows follow her, hoping for crumbs. If he gets it right, they join in a raucous chorus, otherwise they move away. In lean times, she saves what she can. A fish dropped by an eagle, a squirrel fallen from a tree. He buries the remains under the snow. Days or weeks later, he will find them again. As winter advances, the earth hardens, rivers freeze to their beds, deer descend into the valleys in search of grass. The fox follows their tracks, rummaging among the corpses. She is patient, cunning. At the end of February, the light begins to change. The days lengthen, the air softens. Beneath the snow, the first signs of life can be seen, field mice breeding, beetles thawing in their burrows. The fox's world vibrates again. She is no longer alone. His companion returns, with his thick fur and snout marked by rival battles. Their reunion is brief. They share the same territory, a patchwork of forest edges and frozen meadows. With the first dawn of March on the horizon, the snow still clings to the shadows, but the forest now smells different, of melted earth and sap. The fox digs under a fallen fir tree. This is an ancient lair. She will reuse it. She digs deep, the entrance hidden among roots and moss. There she gives birth. Tiny, blind, and helpless pups, no bigger than her paw. 4. They feed constantly, their world no bigger than the warmth of their mother's fur. Outside, the male hunts tirelessly. She brings voles, mice, even an unsuspecting ptarmigan, whose white feathers contrast with the dark mouth of the den. She leaves the food and slips away. The mother rarely leaves the young for long. Weeks pass. The snow melts, forming rivulets that run through the forest. In April, the pups emerge, blinking into the light. Their fur is soft, velvety, and grey. They roll and wrestle at the entrance to the den, biting each other's tails and pouncing at the shadows. The mother watches from nearby, patient but alert. She allows them to play, but danger is always near. A goshawk flies overhead. She growls softly. The puppies disappear underground. As spring gives way to summer, the forest fills with greenery. The fox family moves farther away each day, venturing to the edges of the meadows where voles abound. The cubs learn to stalk. They practice jumping, bowing, and attacking. At first, their success is clumsy. In midsummer, they hunt skillfully. Their parents take them to streams where frogs rest in the shallow water and dragonflies flutter like sparks. Here, they chase each other through the grass that sways in the warm wind. As the sun sets each day, change returns to the air. The nights are getting longer. The meadows turn from green to bronze. The fox's fur thickens again, the summer red deepening to a russet tinged with frost. Her cubs, now almost adults, begin to drift apart. Instinct drives them to seek their own territories. One heads north toward the coast, following the calls of the seagulls. Another moves east, disappearing into the mountain forest. Only one remains, following the mother on her nightly rounds. Autumn brings abundance. The fields buzz with life. The mice multiply, fattening on the fallen seeds. The fox hunts at dusk, the golden light shining on its fur as it moves through the tall grass. Each leap hits its target. It eats, then buries the rest. A cache here, another there. Your body swells with new fat, her fur shines against the dying light. Around them, cranes dance in distant marshes, deer collisions in the woods. Every creature prepares for the cold, and then one morning it snows again, gentle, silent, endless. The earth hardens, the rivers freeze, and the world turns white again. The fox stands at the edge of the forest, her breath turning to mist. Her last cub trails behind her, uncertain. Soon, he too will be gone. The cycle is complete. The seasons advance. The fox has gone, his footprints swept by the wind. The forest falls silent again under a curtain of snow. Beyond the trees, the earth opens up in an immense white, the Kushiro marshes on the eastern plain of Hokkaido. Winter lasts longer here. Frost blooms on the reeds. Fog drifts low over frozen rivers. The air is so still that the sound seems to last forever. But right now there is only silence until it breaks. From somewhere deep in the mist, a call is heard, a clear and resonant trumpet, the red-crowned crane, Grus japonensis. Two of them stand side by side, tall as a man, their white plumage shining against the grey sky. A patch of bare crimson skin crowns each head, glowing like coal in the cold. They spent the night standing on one leg in the snow. When the first light of dawn touches the swamp, they move. One bows deeply, the other responds. They spread their wings, enormous and white, each feather outlined in black. Then they leap. Their dance begins. They call in unison. The duo is so powerful that it can travel 10 kilometers of open terrain. The male shakes his head, trumpeting. The female responds, their voices intertwining seamlessly. They leap into the air, flapping their wings to turn the snow into a storm of light. They greet each other, leap again, twisting and turning in arcs of mirrored grace. This is not a contest, it is renewal. These cranes mate for life. Every year in the depths of winter, they reaffirm their bond through this dance of fidelity and passion. Around them, dozens of people join in. The air fills with sound, overlapping calls rising like a chorus. For the people of Hokkaido, this sight has become symbolic. Once upon a time, the red-crowned crane almost disappeared. Hunted, famished. As the wetlands disappeared, now after decades of protection, more than 2,000 live here again. The cranes bow and perch, the dance ends. For a moment the swamp falls silent, then the pair walk together through the mist, heads held high, renewing their bond. In early spring, the ice begins to crack, the swamp awakens, water filters through the frozen reeds. The first croaks of frogs echo beneath the thawing ice. Cranes enter the wetlands, a place of tall reeds and soft mud. There they build their nest, a mound of reeds almost a meter wide. They raise it above the flood level. The female lays an egg, pale, mottled, fragile. The parents take turns caring for it. One watches while the other feeds, always close, always in sight. The days grow longer, the air warmer, and the swamp fills with sounds. Dragonflies buzz, frogs sing in an endless chorus. The wind trembles among the reeds. After 28 days, the shell hatches. A chick emerges, wet, golden, and shivering. Within a few hours, it stands up, wobbling on shaky legs, already pecking at the world. Both parents care for it, guiding it gently through shallow waters teeming with insects and tadpoles. The chick learns quickly, walking behind his mother, chirping softly, following every step. Summer arrives in waves of green. The marsh is alive with life. Herons lurk in the canals, eagles soar on the thermal currents, and cranes move, feed, and call everywhere. The chick grows rapidly, doubling its weight in a month. Its down gives way to pale feathers. His neck stretches, their wings testing the air. Still, danger lurks. One morning, the sky darkens with wings. A shadow crosses the water, the broad silhouette of a white-tailed eagle. It glides low, watching. The cranes sound the alarm with their piercing calls. The chick freezes. The male spreads his wings. Imposing, whistling through its open beak. The eagle circles once, twice, and then flies away, rippling the air in its wake. The marsh falls silent again, the tension dissipating in the wind. During the summer, the family thrives. Each day, the chick grows bolder. It searches for snails and roots and practices short hops. Parents guide him with low calls. When storms come, they protect her between their wings. When predators are near, they stick together. By September, the first yellow leaves float in the wind. The marsh turns gold, then bronze. The young crane is almost grown, taller and stronger. However, it still has brown feathers. The parents encourage it to fly. At first in short bursts a few meters above the water, each day higher and longer. The first real flight comes with a thrill of triumph. The wings spread almost 2 meters. The bird soars, hovering for the first time over its nest. But autumn also brings dangers. Food becomes scarce as frogs wither in the mud and insects die of exposure. The eagles return to hunt. One evening, as the sun sets behind the reeds, an eagle swoops down from the clouds. The young crane flounders unsteady before the predator's attack. Parents react in a confused manner. The male leaps skyward, wings spread and talons raised. The eagle veers sharply, missing by inches, and then retreats to a distant pine tree. The chick survives. Soon the days shorten. Frost returns at dawn, spreading like glass over the marsh. The cranes are now constantly feeding, developing the strength they'll need to face the coming months. The young bird follows them with perfect imitation, foraging, preening and calling. Its voice, once thin and high, now deepens and resonates, merging with its parents' duet. And then the snow returns. The first flakes fall silently onto the wetlands. The cranes no longer hide in the tall grass. They return to open fields where the snow is firm and the air is cold and clear. Against the pale sky their silhouettes are striking, 3 white figures in a silver sea. At dawn, mist rises again from the frozen river. The family remains united. The young crane spreads its wings, already fully grown, each feather edged in black. It leaps into the air alongside its parents. They soar together, calling, their voices echoing in the silence. Soon the chick will depart and join others its age to find its own territory. The parents will remain here, their bond intact. They move once more. The male bows. The female responds. Together they rise, spinning through the falling snow. Their calls rang like bells through the fog. When spring comes again, they will dance again, for now the cranes fade into whiteness. The earth rises again, far from open wetlands, Hokkaido's eastern forests. Here the snow lies thick between the towering trunks of cedar and birch. Steam rises in slow curls from hidden geothermal vents. The air smells of resin and earth. It is a world of silence, ancient, vigilant, alive. In the midst of this stillness, a shape moves. The broad, heavy wings beat once, twice, silent in the falling snow. A Blakiston's fish owl, Ketupa blakistoni, soars through the forest at night. It's the world's largest owl, nearly 70 centimeters tall and with wingspans that stretch more than 1.8 meters from tip to tip. Its feathers are the color of bark and twilight, a brown and cream pattern that blends with the texture of the forest. The only thing that stands out are his eyes, twin orbs of molten gold, fixed without blinking. The owl perches on a low branch overlooking a stream. Beneath it, the water flows black and silent through a crack in the ice. The stream here never freezes, warmed by volcanic springs that course through this land. Beneath the surface, a solitary trout floats. The owl waits. The minutes stretch on. The snow falls softly on his back, without anyone paying attention. Then, movement. The fish rises. The owl leans forward, its feathers ruffled and its eyes narrowed. In an instant it falls. The silence is broken. A flash of claws, a burst of spray. The owl dives into the water, wings spread for balance. Its legs close on the fish with deadly precision, its talons piercing scales and flesh. It soars, water streaming from its feathers, and the prey gleams pale in its grasp. The owl flies up and disappears among the trees. In the hollow of an ancient birch tree, a female waits. She watches the snow outside, her feathers ruffled to protect herself from the cold. When the male returns, he gently perches at the entrance, offering his prize. She takes the fish, butchers it, and feeds it to him. Then from deep in his throat, a sound begins to be heard, low, growing, resonant. The forest responds. 2 voices make their way through the darkness. A deep, rhythmic duet of howls and beats that resonate along the river. These owls don't migrate or travel long distances. Each pair occupies a territory of up to 15 square kilometers, following the same frozen streams for generations. Their songs mark the boundaries. Winter is becoming more acute. Fish are scarce. Owls patrol the streams every night, moving silently through snow-laden branches. When prey is abundant, they hide fish under roots and rocks, returning days later to hunt for them. Their success depends on these few warm currents. In March, when the nights begin to shorten, the female settles deep within the birch hollow. Inside, 2 white eggs rest beneath her breast. The male hunts tirelessly, returning with trout, frogs, and even small mammals, all of which the thawing streams reveal. The forest remains frozen, but in the hollow, life stirs. After a month, the first chick hatches, a pale, downy creature, blind and fragile. One day later, 1 second, the female constantly raises them, protecting them from the cold with her body. The male brings them food, first small fish, then larger prey as the chicks grow. Each delivery is greeted with a chorus of soft chirps that echo faintly in the hollow. At the end of May, the forest changes, the snow is retreating up the slope, the ground lights up green, the ferns unfold, the streams are accelerating with meltwater. The chicks now peer from the entrance, their eyes open, their feathers streaked with brown. They climb clumsily along the branches, testing their balance, flapping their wings in short bursts. The parents watch intently, calling softly. When night falls, the young follow their father to the edge of the stream. They learn by observing. The adult remains motionless, as still as a stone. When the fish moves, it attacks. The chick imitates, lunging too soon, paddling clumsily. The trout escapes. The adult emits a low croak. This is how you learn in the forest. By midsummer, the young are already able to fly. The family moves together through the river corridor, each owl calling the next in a chain of deep, undulating notes. Fireflies sparkle over the water, twinkling with a warm light. Bats circle. The forest throbs with unseen life, but even here danger lurks. One night, a masked marten prowls near the base of a tree, its dark eyes gleaming. Attracted by the scent of fish remains, it sniffs around, searching for a hole. The female owl swoops down silently from above. Her wings spread, beating the air loudly. The marten freezes and then escapes into the undergrowth. The owl lands again, feathers puffed out and talons clenched. The forest regains its tranquility. As August gives way to September, the young become independent. They range farther, following the streams into neighboring valleys. Their parents no longer feed them. Each will soon claim its own stretch of river. But it won't be easy. In the wild, only half of the fledged chicks survive their first year. Floods, cold, hunger, and eagles wreak havoc. But those who persevere will one day sing their own duet through the cloud forest. Now autumn arrives. The canopy blazes with gold and crimson. Trout are running again, ascending the river to spawn. Owls hunt among the drifting leaves. The air is filled with the scent of damp bark, moss, and life fading into sleep. The once clear and fast-flowing streams now run slower and are littered with fallen needles. At dusk, the male lands motionless on the river. A fish moves slowly below, sluggishly in the refreshing current. It drops in. Another meal is assured before the arrival of cold weather. As the nights lengthen, the duo begins again. Their voices echo through the forest. These calls can be heard almost 2 kilometers away. It's snowing again. The forest falls silent, save for the whisper of water under the ice. Steam rises from the vents and curls between the cedar branches. The owls return to their nest, the same birch tree that sheltered previous generations. Inside, they perch very close together, eyes half closed, listening to the steady rhythm of the stream below. Continuing towards where the forest fades behind, the earth opens up. The trees are clearing up. The world is wide again. Here, on the rolling plains of eastern Hokkaido, light spills over meadows of dwarf bamboo and silver grass. Rivers flow through the valleys, winding through volcanic ridges that still smoke in the cold air. This is the territory of the Izo sika deer, Cervus nippon yesoensis, the largest of all the sikas and one of the hardiest forms of the rugged northern Hokkaido. A herd moves through the dawn mist, their bodies pale brown in the first light. Frost covers their fur. Curls of steam come out of his nostrils. The females walk carefully, heads bowed, plucking winter grass that pushes through the snow. Among them, the younger males remain, vigilant, cautious, with their antlers still small, like small velvety stumps that will grow over the coming months. From the far side, another shape appears, a deer, higher, wider. Their antlers rise like branched trees. They stretch more than a meter across, each tooth sharp as bone. Their body is powerful, almost 150 kilograms of muscle with a thick, dark neck. This is their territory, marked with scent and scratches carved out by years of conflict and resistance. But it wasn't always like this. 2 winters ago, as a young male, no taller than the reeds, he learned to stand just minutes after birth, unsteady, trembling. His mother led him to a shelter, hiding him among the reeds where his scent wouldn't betray him. She fed him, watched him, and returned to silently care for him. During those first months, she defended him from foxes and stray dogs, keeping him close to the shadows until he could run. By autumn, he joined the herd. His spots faded and his coat turned reddish. He fought with other yearlings. Winter brought hunger. The young man learned where the wind ripped the snow from the ground, where the streams remained open even in the bitterest cold. Now, 2 years later, he stands as an adult, not yet the most powerful, but close. His antlers gleam in the summer sun, covered in a blood-red velvet. Each tooth lengthens daily, extracting minerals from the body. Around them, the herd grazes freely. Insects buzz, and the air vibrates with warmth. It's the calm before the storm, the time of growth and waiting. In early July, the deer sheds its veil. It rubs its antlers against the birch trunks, stripping them until they are hard and pale. Blood splashes the bark. When he raises his head, his weapons are clean, polished and lethal. His body darkens, muscles bulge beneath his skin. Hormones surge. Mating season is approaching. In September, the meadows are covered in mist. The mornings resonate with the sound, the deep, guttural bellow of the deer, calling across the valleys. The males patrol the edges of their harems, circling, marking their scent and watching for rivals. The females gather in scattered groups, grazing, alert. Our stag bellows in the mist with a resonant, harsh call. A rival answers from the other side of the ridge. The 2 move towards each other, pacing back and forth, necks low and ears forward. The air becomes tense. They encounter a crash. One antler hits another antler. The sound is sharp, like branches breaking. They push against each other, locked together, their muscles tense. Mud splashes from under the hooves. The younger buck pushes, the older one gives way, then twists, propelling itself forward. For long seconds, they struggle until one falters. The younger buck slips, forced back. He wriggles free, his breath ragged, his flanks heaving. The victor stands tall, bellowing into the wind. Our deer limps in the fog, defeated. For him, this year's challenge has failed, but the season is not lost. In another year, his strength will be on par with the best. The rut lasts for weeks. The air is filled with the scent of musk and damp earth, with cries of dominance and pursuit. Males fiercely protect their harems, scaring off competitors, fight until exhaustion breaks them. Some have deep wounds on their flanks, others lose eyes or antlers. By the end of the frenzy, the survivors are emaciated, their strength drained. Winter is fast approaching. The snow is piling up and the deer are descending, seeking refuge near the woods. The deer, now alone, feeds slowly through the short days. His large antlers catch on branches. He drops them, shaking his head irritably. In January, hunger gnaws at him. Ice covers the rivers. Winds whip across the open plains. Many deer perish, the young, the weak, those trapped far from their shelter. The flock is shrinking, ribs visible under dull fur. Even the deer fights. His once powerful body shrinks and fat reserves disappear. But still, he endures. He scrapes the snow with his hooves, exposing frozen bamboo fronds. He drinks from the trickles of meltwater that seep beneath the drifts. In February, when the cold is at its peak, he loses his antlers. One morning, as he lowers his head to feed, a creak resounds in the silence. The first antler falls, landing softly in the snow. The second follows a few days later. Blood drips from the stumps, but the pain is fleeting. He pushes the fallen crown once and keeps walking. By March, the days are lengthening. The ice is retreating from the rivers. The buds swell on the birch trees. The first green shoots appear through the thawed ground. The deer begins to feed vigorously, regaining lost weight. Its coat sheds in patches, and the thick winter coat is replaced by a smooth, brown summer coat. Small bumps appear on its forehead, the first signs of new antler growth. Elsewhere, the cycle continues. In the meadows where the herd grazes, the females give birth to small, mottled and silent fawns. Each one hides in the tall grass while the mother feeds nearby, returning every few hours to nurse. For the first few weeks, the fawn's best defense is stillness. Its odorless fur makes it invisible even to the sharpest noses. In summer, young people run freely. They join small groups, learning trails, savoring the wild grasses that fill the air with sweetness. The bucks among them begin to lower their heads in mock combat, preparing for the day when they too will challenge them. Among them, perhaps, the next big buck is already walking. And the old deer? He watches from the ridge, his new antlers rising again, strong and abundant. The scars of past battles mark his flanks, the history of years written on his body. He bellows again, a deep, resonant sound that echoes throughout the valley. The challenge will come again. As summer fades, the fog will return, rivals will emerge, the antlers will collide, and once again, he will fight for the right to transmit his strength. Now, as twilight falls over the plains, the deer stands alone, his breath turns to frost, the grasses bend under the snow. Somewhere far away, another calls, the promise of another contest, another year. He lowers his head and listens. The wind changes, and then move on. Meanwhile, from the open plains, where deer graze and fade into the snow, the earth rises once again. North, seaward, the wind is getting stronger. The forests are clearing. The air becomes heavy with salt. Further ahead is the Shiratoko Peninsula, an irregular arm of land jutted into the Sea of Okhotsk. In winter, it meets the Arctic itself. This is the edge of the ice. At dawn, the coast groans. Vast sheets of drifting ice, driven south by the currents of the Sea of Okhotsk. Grindstone against the black cliffs. The sound is low and endless. Blocks the size of houses collide, split, tilt, sending shining fragments into the pale light. Between them, narrow channels of open water intertwine like veins of steel. The temperature is hovering just below freezing. On one of these icebergs, a shape moves. A harbour seal, Phoca larga, raises its head, its whiskers covered in frost. Its mottled grey fur blends so perfectly with the broken ice that it seems to vanish. Around it, dozens of others lie scattered on the floes, motionless. They rest after feeding, bellies loaded with cod, herring and saffron cod, trapped beneath the frozen surface. Each one weighs nearly 100 kilograms, and their thick layer of fat insulates them from waters barely above freezing. Their heart rate slows as they bask in the faint sunlight, conserving every ounce of energy. They will be diving again soon, sliding through cracks into water at 2 degrees above zero. Above them, a shadow glides across the ice. A Stella's sea eagle, Haliaeetus pelagicus, flies low, scanning the icy expanse. With a wingspan that can exceed 2.5 meters, it is one of the largest eagles on Earth. Its head and tail shine white against the dark brown of its body. Examine the sea with eyes capable of detecting a fish a kilometer away. Then, with a single determined flap, it falls. The air hisses, talons strike with a hollow crunch. Beneath the ice, a trapped smelt flashes with a silvery sheen before disappearing in a cloud of shattered frost. The eagle's talons close around it. Flapping its wings, it rises with the fish dangling and water flowing from its tail. He lands on a cliff ledge above the coast, where another raptor awaits him. A white-tailed eagle, Haliaeetus whitebait. A little smaller, but no less formidable. For hours they exchange air with each other. They dive, feint, and steal from each other. Beneath the ice floes, another empire stirs. The water is thin and blue, and light filters through the cracks in the ice in shifting bands. From the depths emerge immense figures, stellar sea lions, Eumetopius jubatus. The males are giants, reaching lengths of 3 meters, and it weighs almost a ton. Yet they move with fluid grace, twisting and turning in tight, coordinated spirals. Their thick fat protects them from the cold. Their dense muscles propel them with explosive power. They hunt in teams. A school of pollock disperses in front of them. The lions launch an attack. One dives deep, forcing the fish to rise. Another intercepts it, and its jaws close with a snap. Air bubbles rise in the clouds. The hunt lasts less than a minute. Some fish escape, most don't. Sea lions emerge, their breath bursting into clouds of steam before disappearing again. Above, gulls and kittiwakes wheel and squawk, waiting for crumbs. Then again, silence. Only the hiss of waves under the ice. Further ahead, the icebergs become thinner and the sea opens into darkness. The biggest predators of all patrol here. A tall black fin cuts the surface. Then another, and another one. Orcas, Orcinus orca. the ocean's most intelligent predators. 6 of them travel together, cruising the icy waters in perfect formation, 2 adult females, 3 juveniles learning hunting techniques, and a calf clinging to its mother's flank. They move as one. Their black and white bodies glide across the slate sea, their breaths rising in ghostly columns before vanishing into the cold air. These are the residents of the North Pacific. Beneath the surface, the ocean vibrates with their communication. Sharp clicks are heard throughout the darkness. They paint a 3-dimensional world with sound. This is called echolocation. Their whistles ripple through the water in bursts of excitement, calls for contact, commands, and comfort. Each pod has its own dialect, a family signature passed down through generations. These are intelligent beings. They teach their young not only how to hunt, but also who they are. They move along the ice edge, exploring. Orcas know these routes perfectly. They've followed them for decades, tracking the seasonal pulse of the Sea of Okhotsk. By the time a seal escapes from an ice floe, it's already too late. The matriarch dives first. One circles in the depths of the ice to block escape. Another attacks from the side, driving the prey upwards. The water darkens, then explodes. A seal surfaces, desperate for air. But from below, a huge, swift figure emerges. A flash of white, a violent surge. The sea churns, briefly red before sinking back into silence. Orcas hunt to feed the pod, to support the calf that will one day lead him. When the hunt is over, they both float together into the twilight. Even here, beneath the ice and shadow, abundance thrives. Through the underside of the ice floes, sunlight filters in, awakening a living skin. Diatoms, microscopic algae, flourishing in vast colonies. Each cell converts sunlight into food. They feed on copepods and krill, which in turn feed herring, pollock, and salmon. Everything here, seals, sea lions, eagles, and whales, owes its life to that thin green film. Icebergs, far from being sterile, are floating grass. In April, the change begins. The sun rises higher every day. Cracks appear in the ice. Pools of meltwater glisten on the surface. The air softens. Seals begin to stir, slipping into the sea to feed. Eagles circle overhead, their calls echoing off the cliffs, and then suddenly the ice disappears. The Sea of Okhotsk opens wide, a vast plain of steel-blue water stretching to the horizon. The coast resonates with sounds, the cries of seagulls, the crashing of waves, the hiss of melting snow. Seals move away from the shore, following the migration of fish. Sea lions gather on rocky islands to breed. The males bellow, deep and resonant, and their roars can be heard for miles. They fight for dominance, by space for colleagues. A collision of bodies weighing hundreds of kilograms, his teeth tearing, their voices shaking the air. Beneath the cliffs, sunlight penetrates the water. The seafloor teems with color and life. Kelp forests unfurl, their fronds rising 5 or 6 meters toward the surface, each a world unto itself. Crabs scurry between the anchors, their shells gleaming with greens and reds. Starfish crawl on the rocks, their tube-like feet rustling against the stone. Sea urchins graze in slow motion, leaving delicate trails among the seaweed. Among the fronds, schools of young cod and shrimp glisten like liquid metal, their bodies writhing in the light. By midsummer, the transformation is complete. The sea is alive in all directions. From the south, across thousands of miles of open sea, the giants return. Throughout the winter, they have roamed the warm waters near the Philippines and the Mariana Islands. There, they gave birth and raised their young in the safety of tropical lagoons. There the ocean is calm, the water is rich in heat but poor in food. Now, as spring gives way to summer in the northern hemisphere, hunger drives them north. They head for the cold, fertile waters off the eastern coast of Hokkaido, where life abounds. Humpback whales, Megaptera novae anglia, appear first, their black backs rising like islands in the mist. Each one can weigh 30 tons, and yet they move with amazing grace, rolling their long pectoral fins through the water like wings. Their wide, scalloped caudal fins marked with unique white patterns are raised before each dive. Beneath the surface, they open their mouths wide, swallowing clouds of krill that emerge from the depths at dusk. The krill are attracted to diatom blooms. Humpback whales will stay for months, feeding tirelessly. Each day they consume up to a ton of prey, building up the abundant fat reserves that will allow them to survive their long migration south. In early autumn, when the krill disappear and the days become shorter, they begin their return journey to the tropics, mothers with young swimming near them. Closer to the coast, smaller but no less formidable minke whales patrol Balænoptera acutorostrata. Compact and fast, they ride the waves with barely a ripple, emerging in brief exhalations of mist. Their diet is varied. Herring, sandlance, krill. They are the most common large whales in these waters, remaining throughout the summer and even into early winter, following the changing movements of schools of fish along the continental shelf. Among them are the Pacific white-sided dolphins, Lagonorhynchus obliquidans. They travel in groups of dozens, sometimes hundreds, running alongside the fishing boats, jumping over the waves in perfect synchrony. Beneath the surface, their clicks and hisses weave a constant conversation, mapping the currents, finding fish, and keeping the pod together in darkness or storms. They are also migrants, following the warm currents south of Japan. They will remain here as long as the water remains rich in prey. This usually happens until the early autumn winds begin to cool the sea again. Even harbour porpoises, Phoquina, join the feast. Shy and elusive, they emerge only briefly, their small dorsal fins slicing through the water like shadows. They chase schools of anchovies and herring in shallow bays. Unlike large whales, they do not travel very far. These northern waters are their year-round home. However, they come closer to the coast in summer, when food is abundant. Above them, flocks of shearwaters and gulls swoop, feeding on the same feast. For 3 brief months, the Sea of Okhotsk becomes a paradise, but the balance is already shifting. The sun is lowering every day, the water is cooling. In September, the winds return. Storms whip through Siberia, driving waves against the cliffs. Whales begin their long journeys south. Sea lions leave the colonies. Their pups are now grown and strong. Eagles return to the coast. Their young practice their first clumsy flights over the waves. The seals are moving north again, following the retreat of the cold. The ocean darkens. Plankton blooms slowly sink into the abyss. The fish feed on what is left. Crabs dig in the sand. The kelp forests now sway more slowly, their edges torn by storms. Then in December, the first fragments of ice appear again. Every day, the temperature drops further. The air sharpens, clear and metallic. The sea calms. Slowly, the icebergs thicken, stretching out to reach the coast again. Eagles return to the cliffs. Seals crawl across the ice. Orcas patrol the shore. Once again, the world is white and silent. The cycle closes. This is not an end, just a break between seasons. From the icy cliffs and rough seas of Shiratoko, the earth rises once again. Ice gives way to stone, stone to the ground. Snow is piling up inland, clearing up under the shelter of the trees. Here, in the deep forests of Hokkaido, winter loosens its grip. The trunks of Sakhalin firs and Mongolian oaks rise like pillars, its bases carpeted with moss and old snow. Under this vaulted canopy, the smallest creatures rule. A squirrel is the first to wake up. A squirrel from Azo, Shurus vulgaris orientis, emerges from the hollow of its tree, its tail trailing behind it like a flag of grey mist. It has slept fitfully through the winter, waking between storms to nibble at stored seeds. Now, at dawn in March, it emerges into the faint sunlight. His world is vertical, swimsuit, branches, jumps. He effortlessly jumps over the crust, slippery with meltwater. Claws gripping rough wood, 10 meters, 15. Each jump is measured, instinctive, never fails. Below, a squirrel watches, minor, striped, quick as a spark, Ezo's chipmunk, Tamias sibiricus lineatus. Its burrow lies beneath the roots of a fallen oak tree, a network of tunnels filled with acorns, beechnuts, and seeds. For months it has lived half asleep, waking only to feed on its reserves. Now it is hunger that drives him to the surface. The forest still smells of frost and rotten leaves, but spring is near. The squirrel scampers through the undergrowth, its cheeks puffed out from stolen seeds. Up above, the squirrel chatters loudly, the first argument of the year. But eyes follow them from the shadows. Ezo's saber, Tuesday Zibellina brachuran, slides between the roots like a liquid coat. Its fur shines a dark gold, thick against the cold. Once prized beyond measure, it now moves invisibly, a ghost in the dim forest light. It pauses, muzzle twitching, all senses alert. The scent of chipmunk lingers, fresh, close. With a silent leap, he disappears among the ferns. A few moments later, the forest falls silent. A faint squeal breaks the silence and then fades. The marten reappears, a limp figure hanging from its jaws. The predator retreats to feed beneath a snowy trunk hidden from the crows patrolling the treetops. As the sun rises, the forest warms. Meltwater drips from the branches, accumulating water in the gaps between the roots. Beneath one of those patches of moss, movement can be seen. A slow, almost imperceptible stirring. A salamander wakes up. Hokkaido salamander, Hynobius retardatus, has remained frozen for months, her body wrapped in ice and her blood soaked with natural antifreeze. Now, at just above freezing, she's thawing. Her pulse returns. She's moving again. It slides into the water, slow but alive. Her skin shines dark and wet. These small amphibians feed quickly on insect larvae and tiny crustaceans, building strength before breeding. In shallow waters, pairs intertwine, and the female lays a string of gelatinous eggs among the stones. Each of them will hatch into a translucent larva, galled, fragile, destined to metamorphose before the next frost. At the edge of the same pond, a frog clings to a reed, the Ezo tree frog, Dryophytes japonicas, small and green, patient. She has also survived buried in the ground during the coldest months, her body almost frozen. Now she sings, a high, soft trill that can be heard throughout the clearing. Soon the air is filled with it. Dozens of voices join together. As the insects emerge, another world awakens. Dragonfly nymphs emerge from the mud, their bodies are gleaming bronze. Their transformation begins, their skin cracks, their wings unfurl in the sun. Within hours, they take flight. Each person's eyes contain 30,000 lenses. Each flap can reach 30 times per second. They get up, float, dart. Your patrol begins. In mid-spring, the forest bursts into action. Ezo squirrels chase each other among budding branches. Chipmunks call from fallen trunks, their high-pitched, rapid trills. Sables disappear for long stretches, hunting birds' nests and voles in the ever-deepening green. The snow is retreating to the north. In the clearings, the tufts of grass glisten, dotted with flowers, alpine buttercups, gentians, and white violets. Among them hops the Hokkaido hare. Lepus timidus ainu, once snow-white, is now brown. Its fur changes gradually with the lengthening of the days. A shadow passes overhead. A goshawk flies low, wings spread and silent. The hare freezes, muscles tense. Their eyes meet, then lose focus. The hare has vanished into its own pattern. Only an instant later it moves again, hopping through the grass, covering 10 meters in a single arc. During the summer, the forest hums. The beetles bore into the bark, moths unfold from their cocoons, the air thickens with pollen. Ezo, the squirrel, raises her litter. 3 pups, their eyes still closed, hidden in a hollow 15 meters above the ground. She feeds them throughout July, nursing, caring for, and grooming them. The male prowls around nearby branches. In August, the pups emerge, clumsy but bold, with their smooth, silvery grey fur. Not everyone survives. A saber finds one, fallen and crying under a root. When it rains hard. Summer storms roll in from the Sea of Japan with thunder echoing in the valleys. Water runs down tree trunks, flooding burrows and hollow logs. Chipmunks retreat to higher ground, dragging seeds and nuts to new hiding places. Frogs take advantage of the flood, spreading to fresh pools to breed again. Salamanders burrow deep, waiting in silence for the torrents. Then, suddenly, stillness returns. Storms pass. The days are getting shorter. The first fresh breath of autumn whispers through the canopy. Ezo's squirrels work tirelessly, plucking cones from fir and pine trees. Each one stores hundreds, burying them in precise, memorable locations. They may never find them all, but the forgotten will sprout. Chipmunks also gorge themselves, stuffing their cheeks with seeds until they can barely close their mouths. Their bodies round out, and their movements slow down. On quiet evenings, the forest smells of damp earth and decay. Mushrooms grow overnight, insects feed. The birds peck, even pine martens gnaw on fallen fruit. Among the trees, the Hokkaido hare dons its winter coat once again. Gradually, as temperatures drop, its fur pales, the brown turns grey and then white. But the snow arrives late this year. For days, the hare stands out against the dark forest floor. He crouches for longer, run further. He evades more by instinct than by concealment. When the snow finally arrives, it melts again, disappearing completely as before. Now the nights grow longer. Temperatures drop to -15 degrees. The ponds freeze, their surfaces glassy and still. Beneath them, the salamanders sleep, motionless. The frogs burrow deeper, their blood crystallizes and life is suspended. The dragonflies are gone, their eggs sealed in ice until spring. The squirrels retreat to their holes, huddled together. Their sleep is light, and they wake up on clear days to nibble at their stashes. The chipmunks disappear completely, locked away in leaf-lined burrows. The pine marten, still active, prowls the silent forest. And then, one morning, the light changes. The sun returns, pale but strong. The snow shines, meltwater drips from the branches again. The forest is stirring. From under the moss, the first salamander stirs. In a hollow log, a squirrel opens its eyes. Beneath the snow, the hare begins to stir. Across the clearing, the paw print of a pine marten joins theirs, fresh against the thawed bark. Life under the canopy begins again. This is Hokkaido, Japan's wild frontier. Here life goes in circles.